Hello, everybody. Sean here. Before this episode starts, I just wanted to say a couple things. One, we did notice the weird quality on the last few episodes. I just picked up on this, so I apologize for that. But it has been fixed on this episode. I had to manually adjust it. Going forward, that weird humming noise is fixed in the background. I don't know how I didn't pick up on that sooner, but I didn't. But it is fixed. Second announcement is we are doing a Valentine's Day episode. We're recording it this week, but we want you guys to send us who your horror Valentine is. Any character from a horror franchise you're particularly smitten with, or maybe you just have a crush on one of these deranged killers. Shoot me a email at sean@ihatehorror.com. You can find me on Twitter at robotsateme, or you can go on Tumblr, ihatehorror.tumblr.com, and send us a little note there. Send those in. We will be reading them on the air during our Valentine's Day special. We already got a bunch of great ones, so don't be shy. Send them in. And if you send in a poem type thing with it, bonus points. Maybe a little extra shout out. Final thing is we want to thank Horror Harbor. That's HORRORHARBOUR for helping us out with this Valentine's Day thing. They were kind enough to reblog and kind of spread the word. Thanks, and enjoy the episode.
Welcome, horror fans, and thank you for downloading The Horror Show. Sit back while your hosts Sean and Joe take you back in time to review your favorite and not-so-favorite horror movies from yesteryear with their own twisted comedic view. Your host will remind you why you loved or hated those classic horror movies and other horror-related events. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to The Horror Show.
All right. Hey, Joe.
What's up?
What's going on?
Nothing.
This week, we're going to discuss kind of, I don't know if we ever really did an introduction to what we like, what we love, stuff like that. So I figured we'd talk about it. We also want to talk about this thing that I've been kind of toying with, which is like a Gore score, which would almost be kind of like a way we can rate movies universally and kind of see how they work. And I came up with a scoring system. And we'll see how it works.
Yeah.
I have some examples. But Joe, we talked about it. What do we look for in horror movies? We kind of said the same thing. We look for the blood, the beasts, and the boobs.
Yep.
Our theme song talks about it, the sacred triple Bs. I think those are all good. I'd like to dive into them a little bit more, though, because there's so many elements to all of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so let's just dive right in. I mean, so we know that that's what we look for in a horror movie. But for beasts, what are beasts? Like, I love creatures.
I just do. I'm a sucker for creatures.
But at the same time, a beast is, you're looking at the overall, I guess, baddie. Bad dude, monster, maniac in a movie.
So would you classify like a Michael Myers as a beast?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah, I think you'd have to. I mean, he is. He's fucking... He's a fucking not human.
I mean, I can't disagree with that. But when I say beasts,
You mean creatures?
Yes, creatures.
Okay. All right. So that's interesting. All right. So that's a. I don't know. I think for beasts we have to include everyone to rate it.
Okay. I mean,
'Cause the
I'm totally
baddies.
okay with it.
Because I think I think beast is almost just like a good term for the overall bad dude. But
villain?
like under beast, you have these different segments. So like for me, under beasts, I'm probably going to give more points in that category to a creature like Pumpkinhead.
Yes.
Fucking Pumpkinhead is amazing.
It is a great, unique beast.
And I'll take Pumpkinhead over any slasher almost. Slasher bad guy. You know what I mean? Like
I think I will
slasher.
too, actually.
You know what I mean? Like it's just
I fucking love
it's
Pumpkinhead.
creative. It's just different. It's not a guy slashing you with a fucking knife, which is also a fucking nightmare. But there's just these different categories that I think is kind of interesting.
There is. And I was ready to really disagree with you about classifying baddies as beasts, but now I'm thinking of Cabin in the Woods and all the things that they had in the cells, and there was
Yes.
definitely slashers and like ghosts, like Japanese ghosts.
Yeah,
and
they're
stuff,
not because they're not. Yeah, it's not. It's not. I mean, I'd say that when you start getting to things like Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, you're getting to a level of just more realistic serial killer.
Right.
I mean, there's still a beast, I guess, but that's where my line starts getting blurred.
I'll agree with that.
Like Maniac, that guy's a serial killer. But,
Would you say Leatherface is a beast?
oh, yeah. Fuck yeah. Are you serious? That guy's fucking wearing a skin mask.
What about Leatherface's grandfather?
A co-starring beast? I don't know. Leatherface's grandfather's disgusting.
Dude, he tries to pick up that hammer.
Oh my god. Oh yeah.
He is
So
disgusting.
ridiculous.
He is a beast.
Doesn't he like suckle on somebody's fingertips? Is that just in the remake or is that in the original? Do you know what I'm talking
I
about?
try not to pay attention to that disgusting old man.
Oh, he might be worse than Leatherface.
I was just gonna say, I think he's more.
Oh
of a
my
beast
god,
than
he's
Leatherface.
terrifying. Holy shit. So I think Beast though is pretty cut and dry. Either you love him or you hate him. I don't think there's really an in between for them.
Okay, but now here's my question to you:
Mm-hmm.
if you classify all of them as beasts, then don't you have to kind of love them all if you like horror movies? Because then every horror movie technically has a beast.
Yeah, but you don't. Okay, so we just did an episode on Jack Frost, who is a beast. I would not classify him as a great beast. He would get so basically in my Gore score, in my grand vision, there's 5 categories
Okay.
ultimately, and each one you rate 5 stars on how you take that beast. So Jack Frost sucks as a beast. As beasts go, I'm giving that about a 1 star on the beast scale. Not to mention the special effects are fucking terrible.
Okay, I'm down
right,
with that.
right. So he's like a 1 star. So, but a guy like Leatherface, that's a great beast, even though he doesn't fit into like a creature per se. He's still getting like 4. I'd put him at 5 stars because
You have to.
he's scary as fuck. That guy chasing you with a fucking.
I mean, he looks like a beast.
He is a beast.
He's built like a beast.
That's what I was just about to say. His body type is horrible. He's disgusting. He's so disgusting. Like, how did he get that fat? Like, what is he eating? What is he eating? Oh, I know what he's eating.
Gunnar
but-
Hansen.
Yeah. Boobs.
Okay.
I almost want to replace boobs with babes.
Okay. So that's fair. Okay, so that's fair.
Yeah, because in my brain, the babes and boobs. Yeah, having boobs makes a horror movie.
So if you're gonna do the 5-star rating,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, if it's a babe who shows their boobs, that would knock up the rating.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's say you have an amazing heroine who's badass.
So we did Tremors. So let's
Yes.
say we're talking about Reba McEntire.
So I actually did a lot of examples of my Gore score. We'll talk about that after. We'll
Okay.
go through like examples after. But in my opinion, in boobs, it's babes and boobs. But yeah, like you can have a badass heroine. That's going to be a pretty good score. High Tension. She's like way
Yeah.
high up there for me because she was
The Descent.
fucking The Descent.
Yep.
Absolutely amazing. Those
Ripley.
gals, even exactly one like that one. You don't see her boobs, right?
No, you see her underwear.
You see her underwear, which that goes up there, though. It's not necessarily boobs, but it was like
close enough.
It's a great scene, like so. Yeah, so those kind of intertwine, but like you just kind of weight them the way you feel. You know what I mean? Because everything's subjective.
Okay.
This is just more of a universal thing. So yeah, badass heroine. But then if you see some boobs along the way,
Like Leanna Quigley. I'm probably saying her name wrong. Lydia.
it's something funny. I think it's Linnea. Yeah, something like that. I read that the other day, but. Yeah, like that's just straight boobage. That is amazing. Right?
Yeah.
So like that just gets a huge boob rating. Like no real heroin there, but great boobs.
But yeah, fantastic rack.
Yeah. And it was just a great scene. Like just a great horror nudity scene. Like
You're talking about Return of the Living Dead?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know she's been in a bunch of other crap, but let's talk about the best one.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's kind of where I rate boobs. Now, blood I think is pretty across the board.
Yeah.
That's pretty obvious, but there's ways you can think about that. It's not just the blood. Like to me, Tremors had a pretty good blood score just because I liked the visual of it. I liked that neon fucking red. And if it's neon red in a movie that's not so campy and supposed to be very serious, you're like, well, that sucks. It's weird. Like, well, this blood looks like shit. It looks like water. It looks like red food coloring.
So do you classify like all gore with the blood?
Yeah.
Okay.
All gore. And that's the other thing. Like, it's not just that. It could be a brutal scene. It could be like the scene in Jack Frost.
The
ornament scene.
Yeah.
That goes huge on my scale because it was just so goddamn gory and awesome. Like, oh yeah, gore is brutal. Like brutality, I think goes in there.
Oh, brutality would be a B.
Oh, 3 Bs. Maybe it's brutality.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I think we're onto something there.
I think it's beasts, babes, and brutality.
I like it.
I like it too.
Let's roll with it.
Yeah, I think that's good. Now, those are the sacred beasts. So those you have to have. If you don't have one of those, it's not a horror movie.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, in my opinion. Now, here's what else I have. Intangibles
Okay.
and scares.
Okay. So actually, I was going to ask you, because I know you're a Paranormal Activity fan. I was going to say, what B's fall into a movie like that? Which makes you like it? Which I'm not shitting on you for liking it. I'm just saying
you're right. And really what this scoring system does is really weed out, and probably why we won't talk about it as much probably is because it's so subjective. You have these movies that like are terrible, like Paranormal Activity, but I just find this fondness for them.
Well, and you're obviously not alone.
And for me, for me it would be the scares and the beast, which is whatever that is that's following them around.
That invisible thing that
gremlin.
You never see.
Or demons, I think they were. I think they're demons. But yeah, like the scare. And that's why it's weird. But again, as much as I like Paranormal Activity, this rating system kind of weeds it out in terms of the overall genre. Like what makes a good horror? Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is going to have a lot of stars. So it's going to be way higher, and deservedly so. It's a classic. Whereas Paranormal Activity I like, but I would never be like 5 star. I would never be 3 stars. You know what I mean? That's a 2 star to me max. And if I did my Gore score on it, it would probably come out to about that.
Okay.
Because I'd say those, yeah. But we'll talk about some of my examples after. So scares, obviously you can look at the jump scares, which I think all horror has to have. I don't care what anybody on the internet says.
Yeah, I don't get hate for like, it's a jump scare. It's lazy.
It's only jump scares. Who gives a shit? Did you
fucking
jump?
Scaring me.
You know what? I really think it's a thing of people embarrassed that they jump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think people are embarrassed that like they got by these like
I think you're right.
corny things, so they get all pissed off and are like, it was just jump scares. That's the only reason I got scared. Well, you got fucking scared, so relax.
You jumped. That's the point of the fucking movie.
Yeah, but I do think there's like there needs to be a line where it really can't just be all jump scares the whole movie. There's got to be a psychological element to it. You have to be at least, you can't just like flash shit.
I would love to see a movie of just someone just closing a mirror every 2 seconms and the face being behind them.
Face behind
That's the entire movie.
Oh my God. It would be, and it would get me every time. 100%. There's movies where I'm like, there's going to be somebody in that mirror. And it does. And I still fucking jump.
I don't get the hate for it.
No, I don't either. But you do have to have that psychological element. And then that's where you weight this one. Was there that balance? Was it too much psychological? Like fucking starry eye. Like starry eyes is scarring and all. Like
yeah,
that's scary in a whole, or like Eraserhead even, which I don't like. It's fucking terrifying though, in the sense that it makes you want to die. Like, you want to hang yourself.
It is. There's some movies that, like you said, make you jump and like scare. And there's some movies when after you watch it, you just want to take a shower and like, go to bed.
Yeah, you just want to die for a little bit. You just want to come back. You almost want to come back wishing you'd never seen it. And that's in its own way a scare. Intangibles was kind of a way to balance that scale, like something like Paranormal Activity, where it's like, I just like it. Like, there's just something about it I enjoy. I enjoy how they do found footage. I enjoy the weird story. I would even put like nostalgia in it. Like,
throwbacks are big for me.
So if there's something you loved as a kid and you can't quite explain it, it's an intangible. Like, I'm rating it at 4 stars intangible because I fucking Rumpelstiltskin might get a 4 intangible for me because I just loved it as a kid.
I couldn't agree more. Like, even if it sucks now, but I loved it as a kid, I still have a soft spot. And then again, with new movies that come out, if they throw back to something I loved as a kid, I'm like, this is awesome.
And that's an intangible.
And I'm like that with music too. Like, you know, I'm a huge hip hop fan. If I hear a song that uses a beat from something from the 90s, I'm like, well, this is a 5-star song. Like, I don't care who's
100%. 100%. And things like music, like The Guest. Like, there's an intangible to that that doesn't follow this, but there's an intangible to that where you're like, God damn, that music was amazing. Like, that movie would probably get a 5 in intangible just to outweigh the other shit it might not have followed.
You're on to something here, man.
Right?
I like it.
So my idea with this rating was you take your 5 stars, you add them up, and then you divide it by 5.
Okay.
And that'll be your ultimate score. And I will tell you some of my ratings, and we can discuss them and see if it works, right?
Get my calculator out.
Oh, fuck. And this was, I was like, where's my list of like the stuff I had? So just a quick rundown. Here's what I thought of as the 5 things. So you have brutality, babes, beasts, scares, and intangible. Brutality, the amount of gore, the color realism, the splatter. You can't forget a good splatter.
A good splatter does
changes the whole fucking. When blood is just going everywhere, you're like, holy shit! Like, it's just amazing. It just makes it. And then I had brutality there, but we changed the name to it.
One of the movies that we watched for the end of the year has such good splatter. It might have been. What was your House Guest?
No. The one that I think about that was amazing was.
Was it called House Guest?
It was Housebound.
The
House Guest
movie
was Sinbad. Oh man, I really enjoy that movie too. Sadly, when I was a kid, I haven't seen it in forever. Don't judge me. Nobody judge me. No, what was?
I just remember one movie where someone was bleeding. It's just like going all in people's mouths, like trying to help them.
Oh yeah. That was. I think was that House Guest.
House Guest.
Oh my god! Stop. Housebound. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Shit, what was that?
But shit like that like kills me. It was just like, going all over everybody in the room.
It was the one I'm thinking about is the remake. Oh, The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Yeah,
great splatter.
You're right.
That car scene. There's a murder in a car.
It's so over the top.
Blood is just going. It doesn't even make sense. The blood is going over every single window in the car.
Yes,
absolutely amazing. So babes, we had the actual boobs. Strong heroine characters, or just a sexy character in general. Just a character that you kind of just like, damn. Like, she didn't take off her clothes. She wasn't that badass, but she was hot as hell just walking around this whole movie.
Yeah.
Beasts, monsters, how terrifying the character is. Does the character actually scare you? Is like a big thing to me. Like, when you really consider it. And I threw in like if there's multiples.
You mean intangibles? Or
no, multiple beasts.
Okay.
So there's like a million critters. That's a terrible example.
Oh, God.
And then scares, like I just said, psychologically, emotionally brutal, like Starry Eyes, jump scares, and maybe just even the general atmosphere of the movie. There's some movies that I watch, and I'm scared before anything's even happened. Like just the music, the setting, the tone. You're just like, shit.
Yeah.
This is going to scare me.
Like Tale of Two Sisters.
Damn it. Yeah. And then intangibles could be anything. The heart of the movie, like Housebound, the nostalgia, just something you can't quite explain. So, Tremors. Let's talk about Tremors because we talked about it on the show. I think everyone knows about that. I had a 2.5 on the Gore.
Okay, that's fair.
Like the color, decent amount. Not a lot of brutality in my opinion. Like there was,
No.
it wasn't really brutal, which is what we're calling that category now. Babes, 1 star.
Yeah, no love for the.
I like the underwear scene.
but no love for
We
Reba
talked about this
shooting the guns?
I'd have to alter it now because she wasn't the main character. I'd have to think about that one. But just going off of my original thought, which was just the lead, I'd have to give it 1. But Reba was once you discovered that for me.
I give Reba 2.5.
Yeah, she was badass. She really was. I gave the Beasts a 3 on that one. I figured they're better than half. They were cool.
Oh,
The
God.
Graboids? Yeah.
I'd give them a 4.
There's like 5 or 6. Yeah? 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. Scares, I had a 0.
Well, yeah.
It wasn't scary. It was a creature feature. It wasn't intended to be terrifying. And I probably could have bumped up the intangibles a little bit, but I went 0 on it. Just running this down. I should have given it higher because I did like it as a kid.
I would say 3.
But overall, with using my score, I came up with a 1.25, which is low, but it's not terrible. I mean, does Tremors rank all-time best horror movies? I mean, that's what we're talking about here.
There are people that will fight you for that.
Well, I know. The guy that runs his website answering questions. Now we get into a few other ones that I really, really enjoyed that I think really do a great example of. So The Guest, which we both love.
Yes.
Which isn't necessarily in the horror category, but in that John Carpenter.
But we can use your rating system.
Let's see how it goes, right? So Gore, there wasn't a whole lot.
No.
So I put it as a 1 star.
Okay.
You have to think about precedent too, because like, what are you going to rate a 5 star?
Dead Alive.
Right. So like blood everywhere.
Yeah.
Fucking nuts. Like,
Have you seen Dead Alive?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So good. I only saw that like 2 years ago. Too.
Really?
Yeah. It took me a while to see.
My high school graduation, I made everyone watch Dead Alive. that was like my party.
I'm sure people were thrilled. People were like, we stopped talking to him after this, right? We're all going to college. We're going to write this kid off. Okay, good. Babes, 2 star. Wasn't digging the main girl. Towards the end, though, I kind of got some love for her.
Okay.
And I mean, there was no boobs.
What if I rate the guy as a babe?
I actually thought about that when I was rating this. I wonder if I wrote that
5
down.
stars.
Yeah, I actually thought about that because you know what? Really though, yeah. Let's not be sexist here.
I mean,
You got a crush on that guy. You have to go 5 on him. I did too, thinking only of the female, and I wasn't really that turned on by him.
yeah, two's fair for
Here's
him.
a good one. Beast. He is your.
I mean,
beast.
he's like
a programmed killer.
Captain
basically.
America.
Yeah. I went with a 3. This guy was fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Fucking nuts. I probably would have gone 4, but I kind of didn't like that he was like military trained. It kind of just took that element of like a complete psychotic away.
But he is like a super soldier.
He is. It's just, to me, that's like they
I
programmed
think
him that way.
3 is
Three's
fair.
fair, right? Scares, 1 star.
Yeah.
It was more of a story. Intangibles, I give it a 5 star because amazing music, amazing story, and just in general, that movie was fucking
Awesome.
great.
Yeah.
That movie was great. When you do it all, it's a 2.5 star on the scale of all horror movies of all time. I think that's fair.
I think it's fair.
That's a fair, right? So, like, at this point, I'm like, oh my God, my theory is accurate.
I would have given it a 4.5, but I think it's fair.
Yeah, you're up there with that Babe rating. Oh, he's pretty close. But that's really kind of just where I stood. I had some other examples, but I don't need to go through them all. But it's just, I thought it was a way for us to kind of.
It's interesting. I like it.
It's it's definitely different. I mean, it's hard though because horror is so subjective, but it was just something I was thinking about and maybe something we can look at.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good way for us to both, at the end of a movie that we talk about, we can say, how'd you rate it?
Yeah.
And instead of just being like, I loved it, because fuck you.
Right.
You
No,
know
it's
what
an
I mean?
interesting
Like,
take. Yeah.
go fuck yourself.
I like that because, I was big on the guest, but then when you break it down like that, I'm like, well, it's obviously not a 5-star, like.
a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's not the best horror movie of all time. I mean, and yeah.
And that's not to put it down. It's
No,
just
not at
using
all. It's
this.
just in general, in the scale of all horror movies.
I love it.
Do
Actually.
you have a horror movie that would be a 5-star?
Halloween.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I agree.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
I think
is
that
the
might
babe.
be one of the few.
Yeah.
We'd have to do some deep digging probably. Or maybe not as deep as we think, but like Exorcist. Although
I mean, I wouldn't say one of the few. Like, there's a bunch I could probably say with 5 stars. Like, Texas Chainsaw would be 5-star.
Texas Chainsaw came in at 4 stars for me, using strictly this thing, but it easily could have gone up because I just
What'd you rate down?
I went light. I went Gore 5. Babe. Okay, so here's where I got screwed up. Babe, because I haven't seen that movie in a while. Where does the Babe rank on that? Because I don't think
She did. She goes up against. She goes toe to toe with
you know what?
Leatherface.
You're right. Yeah, she survives. She gets out of there, but Leatherface lives still.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she's a badass. You're right.
I'd
That should
give it
probably
5.
be a 5. Yeah.
for sure.
She'd be up there. And then I had Beasts 5, obviously. Scares, I gave it a 4. Again, having not seen it in a while, that might be a 5.
Dude, when Leatherface comes out of that fucking door wearing the
Flying?
apron, dude, give that a 5.
Yeah, you're right. And Intangibles, I gave it a 4-star. Could also be a 5 easily because there's so many things you can think about. And I just did this quick, but yeah, you're right because Intangibles should be a 5.
Because think about a movie that looked and felt like Texas Chainsaw
exactly,
before
that's exactly
Texas
what I was
Chainsaw.
going to say. Yeah, and that's you're right. So that probably falls into the 5 category. I would definitely do that after breaking it down. The Babe thing was real. I had a Babe at 3, and that was just because I was like, I don't know. It probably wasn't terrible. I couldn't remember at all.
See, I like that we broke it down though, because now I'll be thinking, is she either badass or it doesn't have to be the main character though, because there could be a movie where there's just a shitload of babes
Yes.
showing off their goods, and I'll be like, it's a
Right,
5.
exactly. And I just watched Lord of Salem. And as I told you, the very opening scene, there is a buttload of naked women. It's the most horrible boobs I've ever seen in my entire life. It got a negative on the Babe scale
Yeah?
for me. Oh, yeah. It got deducted points.
Wow.
Joe, it was horrifying. I can't wait for you to watch
right.
literally the first 30 seconds and puke.
Willow Creek babe scale or
0. 0. I don't think they get negative, though.
what?
It was such a quick scene. Maybe negative. Maybe negative. That movie was terrible. Yeah, maybe they're all negative. The Beast is negative.
Okay, well, I don't want to spoil it, but they're both negative.
Did we not spoil? Oh, shit. Did we not spoil it in our?
I don't.
rundown?
I think we somehow managed to avoid it. We just said it was silly.
God, what a nightmare! I saw somebody actually recently on some reputable website talk about how there's these 2 great Bigfoot movies. The one that you saw, what was the name of that?
Oh shit! You put me on the spot.
It's some odd name though. It was like The Extinct or something like that.
Oh no, it exists.
Exists.
Yes.
And they were talking about how great that was, and they were like, "Yeah, and this was a follow up to another great Bigfoot movie, Willow Creek." And I was like, "Go fuck yourself! How could you even do that? How could you even say that? You fucking jerks!" Pissed me off so bad. But it's interesting to break these things down, and it just really, it kind of just puts things in perspective. It makes you really think about.
I like it a lot.
Instead of just blindly being like, "I loved it last night."
Yeah.
Last night in this weird state, probably 3 beers in, that was the best movie I've ever seen. Like, I've done that so many times.
Dude, I do it all the time.
I know.
I see something like, best movie ever.
Yeah, me too. And I think this is kind of a good thing for us to do because with this being our first year doing this podcast, at the end of the year, we'll have seen all of the must-see movies of the year, hopefully.
Yeah.
And there's going to have to be a way, because I guarantee you, after every movie we see, we're going to be like,
It's fucking awesome.
best of the year, marking it. We might as well just do the end of the year episode now.
Yeah.
Just watch this one. It's the best. And then we'll say that about pretty much everyone.
Exactly.
And I think this is a good way at the end of the year where we could be like, oh yeah, that movie wasn't that great.
Exactly.
It was good in that moment, but it wasn't that great overall.
Man, you're onto something here.
Yep, I spent probably 2 days at work, not working, and coming up with this. You should see this page. Look, this is fucking
These are thorough notes.
very thorough notes. I even went to a point. I don't even want to talk about this. This is so embarrassing. I went to a point where I was like going on a weighted scale. I was like, maybe we should weight it, where the triple Bs are weighted higher, and I was like, nope.
Yeah,
you
that's
need like so much
far too much effort.
And you're a teacher, so you know about like weighted scales, and it's just like a lot of work, right?
It is.
I couldn't figure it out. I had to go use a calculator online, and I was like, I can't do this. 5 stars, 5 categories, division. Simple. The most simple division of the world. So Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, top 5. Anything else you can think of off the top of your head, maybe? Like Exorcist is like a weird one to me.
Is Linda Blair a babe? Is that what the babe score goes up?
Right? Like, do you count that? Because she's like the most evil babe in the fucking universe?
She's not. Pizzazu is.
Yeah.
She's
Captain
fighting
Woody?
through it. Captain Howdy.
Captain Woody.
Captain Woody.
I watch Toy Story about every day with my son. Fucking nightmare. Yeah, that's a good one though. That's a tough one. Do you rank it? Just as a number, would you rate it a 5-star movie? Did you really like The Exorcist?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, me too. That's a tough one though. That might break the scale.
I mean, I could argue that Linda Blair's character, Reagan, is a badass. She's fighting through
Fights through that shit.
Crab walking all over the stairs and shit. Peeing on carpets like it's nobody's business.
Yeah, that movie was fucked. I mean, I think you just have to give it a 5 there just to make sure you get the 5. That's like one of the low. Maybe Intangibles gets like a 6. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess so, yeah.
There's got to be some balance there because there really is no babes in that movie. And Reagan doesn't do shit.
Yeah, I mean that is a tough one. That's where we'll have to look at movies like that.
Yeah. Oh well.
Like what about Evil Dead? I mean, there's 3 girls in it.
See, I think there's got to be some weird line where the bad babes come into play, even though they're technically a beast. Because like those girls in Evil Dead are they're not sexy by any means. Obviously, but they're great. They're great female characters.
Yeah, they are.
They're great female characters that you're just like, fuck. Like they're not babes, but like. I think you get a cat just like Regan is.
Who would you say is the biggest beast in the Evil Dead?
And
tell me why it's the tree.
The girl in the cellar, man.
Yeah, I mean it has to be.
She still scares me.
The makeup is so good.
Just like. Well, the scene where he falls in,
yeah,
just fucking ruins you every time. I can't handle that. My heart can barely take that.
Her fucking face, like it keeps popping up and down. Like shut the fuck up. Like,
and I think that was maybe.
And then when he's making her guess the cards, and she's just rattling off one, and then she's levitating.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay, so I don't know. On the show, did we talk about the Evil Dead remakes?
See,
we're just about to get way off topic here, so who gives a shit?
I think we did.
Let's just talk.
I think we did.
How much time are we on? Okay. I don't know if we talked about it or not.
See, we had another podcast, and we talked about like a Halloween one.
Oh,
we might have talked about it. But
so the Evil Dead, we should dedicate a whole episode to Evil Dead and the Evil Dead remake, because I think there's something to be said there.
Oh, wait, we did best horror remakes. That was like our first episode.
Yeah, but we just like touched on it.
Right.
And I don't think I'd even seen it then.
Okay.
But anyway, this movie, I'm just curious because I think one of the elements that was missing in the remake was those horrible female voices that are in the original one.
They're so grating.
Like,
yeah.
Like, as corny as those voices are, like cartoon witch voices, they were fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it really gets to you.
It really gets to you, and I think that was missing in the new one. I mean, the new one was pretty good, but those voices, I just kind of wished I heard them.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
It was just like so horrible, Those are our Gore scores, though, guys. We just wanted to talk about those, touch on them, just kind of so you guys kind of know what we look for in horror movies.
I dig it.
What's your favorite horror movie of all time? While we're
Halloween.
talking about this, Halloween.
Yeah.
What's your second favorite?
Oh man, I mean, that could switch any day.
Yeah, that's true.
It'd probably be Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah,
the two movies I just
I think
talked
Texas
about.
Chainsaw is my one.
It's fair.
It blew my mind.
I'm a huge stan of John Carpenter.
Oh
And
God, yeah.
I would say Halloween's not only my favorite horror movie ever,
What's your
but it's
favorite
like
movie?
top 3 favorite movie ever.
Yeah. What's your least favorite horror movie ever?
Wow. Least favorite horror. I mean, I've seen.
There's so
All right,
many bad ones.
I mean, like
so many bad ones.
there'd have to be categories like my least favorite popular horror movie.
the problem
my
with-
least favorite horror
The
movie.
problem with the least favorite too is like
Because I've seen shit like Dead Body Man, which nobody should ever have to see in their life. There's a scene in Dead Body Man where it sounds like they took the boom mic, shoved it up somebody's asshole, and then that person went swimming into an underwater cave, and then they recorded. I've never seen a movie like that in my life. So, that's probably my least favorite horror movie ever.
Oh my God. It's funny because least favorite you kind of just block out, right? Like for the most part, when you're not running a podcast and you don't have to talk about it, like honestly, Willow Creek, I would never have thought of again if we hadn't talked about it, but now it's burned into my brain. So like you forget about these movies after you've seen them. That would be really hard to pull out because like you just want to forget
Listen,
them.
man, go home and watch Dead Body Man, and
You'll never forget.
Willow Creek is like the Citizen Kane.
I've never seen it. What year was it made?
Who cares? No. It was like 2005 or something.
No way.
It's really recent. I'm gonna look it up. Hold
Oh
on.
my gosh. Guys, we're going to take a break real fast. Joe's going to get the year of this, and then we will come back, and we'll kind of we never did like a real introduction, so I think we're just going to talk about, we're just going to bullshit. We're going to talk about this awesome thread on a website that I found hilarious. We'll be right back.
Warning. You are about to see scenes of a film said to be the most controversial in the history of motion pictures. A movie they said could never be shown. In fact, you have read the headlines across the newspapers of this country and the world, and you have heard the news. This is the movie that could only have been made in South America, where life is cheap. It will shock you and astound you. It is not meant for weak hearts or weak stomachs. Because of the highly controversial and violent nature of this movie, we are only able to show you some selected, edited scenes at this time. But the complete, unexpurgated, unedited, uncensored version will be coming soon to this theater. Ladies and gentlemen, the bloodiest thing that ever happened in front of a camera. Snuff. This is the true story of 4 innocent young actresses who thought they were making just another movie, but didn't know they were making the ultimate movie. Snuff, the film that could only be made in South America, where life is cheap.
You will feel the pain, and you will not flinch from it.
What starts as a simple story of love and sexual passion ends in an orgy of diabolical, bloody lust. A movie so controversial you will find it difficult to believe it was actually filmed. Snuff.
Let me alone. What good does it do to torment me like this? Please stop it. Is that his? Yes, yes. Then you two go and join him.
deadliest thing that ever happened in front of a camera.
Oh, it is on IMDb.
Do you want me to start talking about it?
Yeah, so welcome back, guys. What year did Dead Body Man come out?
Dead Body Man came out in 2004. So
Okay.
it's fairly recent. Just turned 10 years old. It has a 3.3 rating out of
Which is
100.
insane.
But it's only out of 101 ratings, which I'm sure half the cast rated it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I gave it a solid 1. But some asshole, the only review on IMDb, normally you go to IMDb for anything, there's like 1,000 reviews. There's only one review for Dead Body Man, and it's rated a 9 out of 10.
Oh, that's got to be the director.
It has to be.
Let's hear it.
I mean, this is like a small novella.
Oh, my God.
This film takes a profound look at not just one of the great questions in life.
Okay,
but two.
I've heard enough. That is so insane.
First off is just how far does one go to get right with God? In Dead Body Man, the answer is pretty damn far. I have no clue what movie this comes from. Am I my brother's keeper? On second thought, maybe that should be he ain't heavy, he's my brother. In any event, Willie, the film's main character, comes across as a loving, feeling human being.
He watched the right movie because that's the lead character's name. Oh my gosh.
This film is also noteworthy for its stunning cinematography and creative. I'm about to take my phone and slam it into the ground.
This is the director.
It has to be.
Yeah. So let's read some of the characters in this movie from top to bottom here in IMDb. You have Willie. You have Ed. You have Porn Star. That's the name. Car Victim. The Sadness. The Anger. Porn Stud. Pizza Dude. Hooker 1. Hooker 2. And my favorite, Unknown Guy. What the fuck is this? Dude, this is like a college film.
Yeah, it really is. This
is so bad.
This same reviewer says, warning, some slight foul language. And in parentheses, it says chicken and turkey. a good foul joke.
So, now, would you say this was a comedy?
No.
It's listed as a comedy. Horror.
No, it's not.
It is. It's listed as comedy horror.
This movie sucks so much.
Oh, man. We got to get a copy of this on YouTube. No, like, as a gift to our audience, we should get a copy of this and get it on YouTube.
I'm doing the research right now.
Okay.
It has to be somewhere.
So.
Oh, shit. Oh, fuck.
I don't think it's on YouTube. Nothing popped up for me. So, guys, one of the things... So, through my research, I spend a significant amount of my time for this show. You wouldn't imagine that with the way it goes. But I spent a significant amount of time researching horror, and I stumbled upon, probably while looking for like best horror movies or highest rated horror movies, I stumbled across a post on IGN on September 13th, 2014. The title of the post is Post Horror Movie and I'll Rate It Out of 10. So in my head, I'm thinking, well, if you're going to do that,
this guy knows his shit.
This guy knows his shit. I'm totally open to listening to one guy's opinion. Subjectivity is, we talk about it all the time.
I actually enjoy that.
That's what horror is. So that's the title, and then his body is anything, smiley face. So his first, we get a few suggestions coming in before he ever says anything. We have The Shining. Okay. Eraserhead. Okay. The Thing. We're in classics right now.
Yeah.
The Conjuring, which is a more recent one, but pretty good. I like that movie. Yeah. Candyman. Mm-hmm. Sure. Why not? Shining. 8 out of 10. The Thing. 10 out of 10.
Okay.
All right. We're good right now.
Fair enough.
He says the 1982 movie, he wants to clarify, and he says the dog scene creeps him out, though. Eraserhead and Candyman. Never heard of them. Okay. We're starting to see some glaring problems here.
Yes. Never.
Granted, I only saw Eraserhead recently.
Yeah, but you heard of it.
I'd heard of it forever. I just never watched it.
Fuck hasn't heard of Candyman.
That's the biggest problem, honestly. As you could say what you want about Candyman. If you haven't heard of it, you're just not with it.
I mean, unless you were born 10 years ago.
Maybe. his response to The Conjuring also. I have heard The Conjuring got favorable reviews by critics and audience. Is it any good? Is it scary? All right. I mean, it's
Keep in mind, this guy said name a movie and I'll rate it.
Yes. People are starting to get upset now at this point. There's people questioning his respect and what he's saying. Let's see what else we have. Oh, somebody said The Ring. A classic. 2 out of 10. I didn't like the movie. Even my mom and dad did not like the movie either. It wasn't that scary when I was watching it for the first time and found it boring.
Okay,
I guess. Like,
2 out of 10?
2 out of 10 is rough, though. That's a really rough score. Like, come on. Alien. 8.5 out of 10. Okay.
Okay.
All right. No. Let's see what else we got here. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. What do you think you rated it?
Never heard of it?
Never heard of it.
Okay.
Is it scary to watch? Is his question. Sinister. What do you think you rated it?
A 10?
Never heard of it. Is it scary? I've heard mixed reviews.
Wait.
Yeah.
You heard me.
He looked on IMDb. Let's see. Let me just see here. What's his next good one here? An American Werewolf in London.
10?
Do you like that movie?
That's one of my favorites.
So great. So funny. So good. Smart.
Never heard of it.
Heard it's a horror movie with comedy elements. Is it scary or good? So, like, at this point, why are we asking this guy fucking questions? But people keep sending them to him. It's amazing. Cemetery Man.
Delamore to Delamore.
That's right.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Friday the 13th.
That one I could understand.
Friday the 13th. 8 out of 10. That's actually a pretty high score, I think, for his standards. The Grudge. Ju-on.
The original?
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10.
See,
this is like my Rotten Tomatoes theory of like you should have some comparisons. Here.
Exactly.
You need some comparisons.
Like, I don't like Blair Witch, but it's not a 1 out of 10.
Dead Body Man.
It's a 1 out of 10.
It's a 1 out of 10.
Dude, you're so right with like, that should be a mandatory feature. Like,
Yeah.
Before you rate this.
Are you sure you want to rate? I know you're upset right now that you think this is a bad movie, but let's just dwell on this for a minute. The Room probably has a 2 out of 10.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's amazing. Let's see what else he's got. Oh boy, Halloween.
Never heard of it.
He has heard of it.
Okay, good.
8.5 out of 10. It's.
Did he give 10 stars yet? Did we say that?
Oh yeah.
What did he give it to?
Oh, so he gave.
Oh, The Thing?
The Thing.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, he really liked The Thing. Classic, he said. Puppet Masters versus the Demonic Toys. Granted, I thought I was the only person that had ever seen this movie for the longest time. I saw it on TNT, probably on Monster Vision. And
They always played that.
Always.
Always.
Yeah. And, but he had never heard of it.
Of course not.
But that's fine. I get that.
That one's, yeah.
I get that. So we're starting to see some real classics come up. And I think this is when it starts really going way off the rails. Rosemary's Baby.
Yep.
What do you think?
Never heard?
Never heard.
Okay.
Heard it's classic. Is it scary to watch? My favorite question.
Why does he say that? I've never heard of it, but I've heard it's classic.
Wait, my favorite thing though is it scary to watch? What else would you do with it? Is it scary to listen to? I don't know. Is it scary to watch? Carrie.
This whole thread is his idea.
Yeah.
Tell me a horror movie and I'll rate it.
And granted, like, so this whole podcast, I feel like is, I want it to be a show that's super open to ideas. I hate stuff Joe likes. Joe hates stuff I like. But in the end, it's all horror. Like, everyone's got these different opinions and you can make a case for just about any horror movie. But when you make a thread asking people to give you horror movies and you're going to rate them, you would only say that
probably
if you
know
see-
your shit.
You need to know at least some of them. So we did Rosemary's Baby. Carrie.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Is it any good? Carrie and Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, that's bonkers.
Yes. Yes. Now people are just getting very upset. Now people are just calling him out and just like, why did you start this? Like, what did you do? Here's a great one. Suspiria.
There's no way I heard of it.
Well, he hasn't, but my favorite question is, does Best Buy have them? Them. What? Nightmare on Elm Street, he gives an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Evil Dead remake,
An 8.5.
9.5.
Wow.
Terrifying in all capital letters with 100 exclamation points. I'm pretty sure he's like 7 years old.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Reanimator. This is the final one.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. And that is the end of Hal Safira on IGN.
What a thread.
It was just amazing. I found this and I'm so not okay. I'm never call people out for like what they like and dislike. But when you open a thread,
And you've never heard of
basically
anything?
being like, I'll rate any horror movie you can throw at me. Do it now. And you're like, nah, don't even know it. Like, and the weird thing is he'll comment on them. Here it's a classic. Well, then don't.
Yeah.
Then don't. At the point when you get to Carrie, at least cover yourself. Don't be like, never heard of it.
You're right.
Is it scary to watch? That might be the tagline of the show.
Is it scary to watch?
Is it scary to watch? Maybe that'll be our first shirt. Is it scary to watch? So before we wrap up, it's going to be a quick episode this week. We're just bullshitting. Just whatever. It's fun to talk about horror. And I imagine anyone that watches horror kind of understands this dynamic. You know what I mean? When did you first get into horror? Do you know? Do you have an idea?
Yeah, I do actually. I
was
saw The Bad Seed when I was like 8.
Nice.
My mom, that must have come out in the 50s.
Yeah.
And my mom, she's not like a horror fan by any means, but she loves like classic movies, and she showed me that, and I was like, this is awesome.
Well, there's an interesting thing. Those movies in the 50s and 60s, horror was a children's thing. Horror was made for kids. When you go back and look at history, those movies were made for children to scare them. I was just watching a documentary talking about it, and I'd never thought about that before. You look at all those campy in the 50s and 60s monster movies, there's some scary elements to them, and some of them are classics, but they were made for children. It was like you dropped your kids off to go see a scary movie. They had all the horror comic books, like the monster toys, like they were made for kids. So that's probably why your mom even knows or cares about it. You know what I mean? Like now horror is not okay for children.
Not for your kids.
Not for your kids at all. Bad Seed, huh? And where did you go from there? Did you just...
Bad Seed from there, I just, I would sneak things on TV like Monster Vision and stuff like that.
It just caught your interest.
Just caught my interest, yeah.
That's interesting. So for me, my dad started showing me horror movies like religiously. Friday night, he'd get home from work and he'd have a horror movie and candy, and we would watch something. Some inappropriate, some not. But I remember vividly Them was the first one.
The ants?
The ant one.
Nice.
Ants that they defeat with sugar. Spoiler alert. They find like a sugar mine and like lure the ants to it.
I'd like to think there's somebody out there that's super pissed that you just spoiled Them.
I hope not, because they would watch the first 5 minutes and be like, okay, I see where this is going. And then honestly from there, the next one I remember, my dad, why did he show me these? The Exorcist.
Yep.
Way too young and impressionable for that. Fucking ruined. So we finished it, and I remember my dad being like, this is the scariest movie of all time. Are you ready for this? And I was like, yeah. Watched it, and I was like, that wasn't so bad. And he's like, oh, you want to hear something cool? And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, I was probably scared, but I mean, the lights were on and the movie had finished. My dad probably turned on the lights on purpose. Then he proceeded to pull out his record player, and he put on Tubular Bells and just like cranked it. And dude, I was so terrified. More terrified once the music was just playing in my house, and I was like, what the now I'm not okay. No, I'm not okay at all. Like, this music exists outside of this movie. Like, no, not okay. And then, honestly, one of my favorite movies of all time, Motel Hell.
I fucking love Motel Hell. And I also saw that at a really young age.
Yeah, my dad showed that to me and was like, get ready for this. And I was like, what the fuck was that? And it was a nice introduction to gore and slashers.
I can actually remember my aunts talking about that. Like, we would all go to my grandfather's house and use the swimming pool. And I can remember my aunts talking about Motel Hell, and I could not wait to rent it. And we convinced one of my buddy's moms to rent it. We were still in elementary school.
The Motel Hello. And I was like raised in a house where you couldn't swear at all. Even though my parents swore like sailors. I used to call this movie Motel Heck. Because I was so afraid of swearing in front of my parents. Now, that came out in 1980.
Yeah.
That's funny that your aunts and like my dad knew about this movie. I mean, I was born in 85. You know what I mean? Like, you'd think that was...
Yeah, it's only 5 years before.
Yeah, it's not like it was like, okay, here's a class. Like, that must have resonated with people. I don't know why. I would love to rewatch it because maybe it was really accessible. Whereas like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre was like just crazy over the top.
Right.
Maybe this one was like just a toned down version of that. So people were like, okay, we can handle Motel Hell.
Well, 80s when Friday the 13th came out. So maybe there was just like that craze of just like they had to go out and see movies like that.
My parents would never have showed me Friday the 13th, and they didn't. But they decided to show me Motel Hell. Yeah, I feel like if I watch it, maybe it's a little more acceptable than...
Right.
Because there were no boobs, I don't think, in it. It was kind of just...
That's a bunch of hillbillies with their tongues cut off.
Oh, what a great movie, though. But those are like the three I remember, and that just spawned... Again, Monster Vision was a must for me. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Hands down.
Dude, I remember... God, that was like the highlight of my week, man. Like,
yeah.
I'd be at school, elementary school, and I'd be like, I fucking hate this place. I just want to go home. And then it was Saturday night. I'd be like, fuck, yes, I just have to stay up late enough. And I'd usually fall asleep like halfway through the movie. But I always recorded on VHS.
I miss that about... Like, now you can just get anything, which is awesome and so convenient for me. But I miss being like, I can't wait for this. This is the only time I can watch this.
Well, like, yeah. Like, and like, even like we talked about it once, like, trying to trick your parents into rent you a movie that you knew was like, all right, I know they'll rent me some of these for me because I can, like, the cover's not terrible, but they're never going to let me let them die slowly with all the warnings on it. And that was like the same thing with TV. You kind of had this, you lucked out. You were able to get access to these things that your parents wouldn't let you have.
Yeah.
There was something awesome about that. And that is what's lacking, I think, in horror. You just fucking put on Netflix and Maniac is sitting right there.
Right.
It sucks. But, oh wow, our kids are ruined. But maybe that's the future of horror. Maybe that's like that short film you showed me online.
Just so fucking scary.
I wish we could plug that. I don't even remember the name of it.
I'll
it was a
look it up.
4-in-1. I'll post it on our Tumblr. But
oh my God. I forgot
that was one
about
of the most terrifying short. It was like 10 minutes max. So
it was like 4 minutes.
Was it?
Yeah.
Dude, scared the shit out of me. Legitimately scared the shit out of me. I was so upset.
It's in the middle of the day. And
I was so upset. And but maybe that's the future. Maybe the future is finding these things online and you're like, who the fuck made this? Like, there's no credits. Like,
yeah.
Who the shit made this? Like, this is just creepy. Like, or these like maybe like found footage will go online, especially with online distribution. That would be amazing. Like, if somebody just decided not to take credit for some of these things and just like put it out there.
Yeah.
It'd be so great. Guys, that's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a little different than our usual, but hey, it was fun to talk about. Deal with it. And come back next week, please. Please come back next week. We really appreciate you guys listening to it. The response has been great. As always, we'd like to thank Harley Poe for allowing us to use the song Gorehound off the album Pagan Holiday. You can find him at harleypoe.com and facebook.com/harleypoe. And you can also find him on our website with links to Bandcamp and iTunes and all the places you can buy his awesome music. I'm at Robots8Me on Twitter.
I'm at Jovi421.
Find us on ihatehorror.tumblr.com and ihatehorror.com. And as always, please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher. Helps the algorithm. Helps more people find us. The more people that find us, the more fun it is. We can all talk about this crap and talk about how much we love Rumpelstiltskin or Jack Frost or all of these classic horror films.
Do not contact me and tell me how much you love Dead Body Man.
Contact me if you have a copy of Dead Body Man, because I would love to leak that online for everyone to see. Guys, thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Adios.